Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the LiNing Way of Weight All City 11. So the All City 11 was released in January of 2023. So a pretty recent shoe. It's retail at 149 US dollars. It's selling on the Foot Locker website for 160 Canadian dollars. Quite a lot of colorways have come out so far. This is, I believe, one of the first colorways that came out. It's the Chinese New Year colorway, and because it's the year of the rabbit, it's also a rabbit themed colorway. Personally, I was born in the rabbit year, so this shoe is perfect for me. I had to grab this colorway. So if you don't know, LiNing is a Chinese brand and Way of Weight is owned by LiNing. Their relationship is kind of like Curry Brand and Under Armour or Jordan and Nike. Currently in the NBA, not a lot of players wear these, but one of the big names is D'Angelo Russell, obviously. He switches between the All City shoe and the Way of Weight mainline. Jimmy Butler is also signed to LiNing. However, he's not a part of Way of Weight. He has his own shoe, it's the JB1. The All City line is the budget model of the Way of Weight mainline, which is expensive as heck. But this shoe, as I said, 149 US dollars is not too bad at all, especially with the full package that you really get with the shoe. It's pretty good value. And this shoe is extremely popular in China just because how cheap it is. Just talking about the aesthetics or the looks of this shoe, personally, I'm a huge fan of how this shoe looks. I think LiNing or Way of Weight has just been killing it with the design. I really love how there is not a huge logo on here. It's kind of subtle. It's hidden in this mesh area here. This colorway, man, is just very special. In the ton, there's this little very nice touch of this fluffy flannel type of material on here, and there's also this rabbit footprint at the bottom. The details on this colorway and just overall silhouette, pink color and the mint laces, I just love it. I gotta give these a 10 out of 10 for looks. Moving on to the material used in this shoe, it's nothing too crazy. It's very much a standard that we see these days with basketball shoes. The upper is textile upper, one of those kind of flimsy material, but it also works very well with containment. It's also a harder material to make sure that when you're making lateral movements, your foot is contained in all areas of the shoe. The shoe also has quite a lot of rubber caging. So just from the looks of this shoe, you probably can tell with all this plastic, it's not a very light shoe. Although it's not the heaviest, but I wouldn't call this a light shoe either. Personally, I think the material works. It's also not the greatest for quality, but with the price point that you're getting with this shoe, I can't really complain about anything. There is also this really interesting large heel tab area. I don't know if this really serves any functional purpose. It hardens up the heel a little bit, but I think it's more for aesthetics. Now we're gonna jump right into the performance review of this shoe. So starting off with the fit and lockdown. Personally, I went true to size as I always do with LiNing shoes. I know on their website, they suggest you to go up half a size. I would say that is the case if you are a person with wide feet or even standard feet. I would suggest going up half a size, but me personally, I have very narrow feet, so it's actually a great fit for me going true to size. It's very interesting because this shoe's forefoot is pretty wide, right? It has a wide base. Silhouette overall is pretty wide at the forefoot, but the midfoot area right here, it's super narrow. If you have wide feet, especially in your midfoot area, this is gonna be a problem. So if you have wide feet or standard feet, it's better if you can find these and try them on. If you can't try them on, I would just suggest going up half a size just to be safe. But if you have narrow feet like me, true to size would be perfect. I would say these provide really great lockdown, right? The heel, it's super well padded. You can just feel it with your hands. There's a lot of padding, and what that does is that it holds the back of your foot into the shoe very well. I had no heel slippage issue whatsoever. The lacing system also works pretty well in terms of holding your foot in without putting too much pressure on the top of your foot. Overall, I really had no issues with the lockdown. It's just that you need to watch out for the narrow midfoot and the suddenly enlarged forefoot area. I feel like this shoe's fit might not be the greatest for everyone just because it's kind of weirdly balanced in this way. I have also heard about some people having issue with this TPU plate that comes up and caging the forefoot. Some people said they experience pinching on this part because this TPU material is really hard and kind of presses on your feet a little bit. For me, again, I have narrow foot, so I didn't have any issue with that. The laces are very interesting. They're in this very weird shape. It helps keeping the laces in the right place. So when you're playing, you don't have to ever retie your laces again. They just stay this way very well. However, one downside of that is whenever you are adjusting the laces, you have to do it from the bottom all the way to the top. You can't just crank the top expecting the laces just to go all tight. It just doesn't work with this type of lace. Next is the running performance. So in terms of running in this shoe, I would say it's pretty good. It's nowhere near a top tier shoe in my opinion. The reason that I say it's good is because of the Boom midsole setup. Boom is LiNing's premium cushioning material that they use for their top of the line shoe, basically. In my opinion, for running, Boom is great. In terms of the sensation, it feels kind of like Boost when you're running. It feels super soft in the heel, and then the heel is kind of bouncy as well, so it pushes you forward a little bit. However, I do find these even more bouncy. You have a more significant feeling under your foot compared to Boost. The heel to toe transition in the shoe is also really great. Just by the look of it, you wouldn't expect that really because of how much caging there is. The caging material in the heel is actually quite soft. It gets harder towards the front, especially this area, but in the heel, the compression is really nice. And this is also a very great core feel shoe, so that always helps with running. Your toes can feel the ground very well because the Boom material gets really thin in the forefoot, so it allows you to stay relatively close to the ground. So running performance, I would say, is pretty good, but it also didn't give me too much of a springboard effect. Just because of the limited midfoot shank play area this shoe has. Now moving on to the lateral movement performance in this shoe. So in terms of lateral movement, the most important thing again, traction, right? Traction in this shoe is freaking great. It has one of the best traction that I've seen so far this year. Obviously, by the first look, herringbone, right? Always reliable. And this rubber material is also really hard. Just really grippy. Whatever court that you use this on, dirty, clean, or even outdoor courts, I think you're all gonna be covered. I never ever slipped once. And this shoe has a really loud squeak as well. In terms of lateral stability, it's kind of funny, on LiNing's website, they call it anti-rolling design. So I guess this shoe is supposed to stop you from rolling. This TPU rubber material comes up caging the forefoot a lot, and that always helps with lateral stability. Like I previously mentioned, this has a really wide base. You feel stable in these. I felt confident in my footwork and never any time that I feel like I'm gonna roll my ankle in these. In terms of torsional and arch support, this shoe features LiNing's Pro Bar Lock technology. It's basically two TPU midfoot shank plate that are hosted above and below the midsole material. Do I feel like it has a significant effect when I'm playing? Not really, but do I feel like this is enough for torsional and arch support? Yeah, I do think so. And now we're gonna be talking about the jumping performance. In terms of jumping, again, the cushioning is full length Boom. Boom is freaking amazing. It feels really bouncy in the heel. Feels quite significant in the midfoot as well. But moving towards the forefoot, because this is a shoe, I guess, more designed for guards, LiNing decides to make this more core feel and more responsive in the forefoot rather than being soft and bouncy and all that. So I would say for jumping, this shoe is adequate. I didn't really feel like it enhanced my performance by any means, but it definitely didn't take away from anything. The impact protection was also enough for me. I never felt like I wasn't getting enough of the shoe. I never had a hard landing that made me feel, you know, uncomfortable. Even when I landed my forefoot, I still felt like I got a little bit of the boom helping me to land. So that pretty much wraps it up for today's review of the LiNing Way of Wade All City 11. Would I recommend this shoe? Yes, I definitely would recommend this shoe to you guys. Especially this shoe is now available in Foot Locker in Canada as well. So it's a lot more accessible. 160 Canadian dollars is really not that expensive, and these has a high possibility of going on sale as well. So definitely recommended. I think is a great shoe for guards, especially because of the overall core feel and the responsive cushioning setup. I think is great for people who are shifty and plays with a lot of speed. Wing players, you will still be covered with these because personally I'm a wing player and I love playing in these. For big men's, I don't really know. If you're a very heavy dude, then this cushioning setup might not be enough for you. We know the importance of traction and fit and lockdown, and in all those areas, this shoe definitely excels. 100% recommended, and if you never tried a LiNing shoe before, you're definitely missing out. Okay, so that's it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.